I want to ask you about the agenda. That's what we want to talk about here. The president is expected to sign an executive order this week that would lift some insurance rules under Obamacare, including allowing individuals to buy insurance across state lines. Can you tell us about this executive action? It's amazing to a lot of people that the health care repeal and replace is actually still alive. He thinks he's going to get this done.
The health care repeal and replace is alive for two reasons. Number one, we have a president who is committed to repealing and replacing Obamacare, even if the Senate and the House just haven't been able to put something on his desk. Number two, the president sees that many Americans are suffering under Obamacare. You have about 28 million people that still don't have health care coverage. So the question is, will Democrats come to the table as well?
Yeah, will they participate in government?
That's right. The question about is health care or tax reform or immigration reform, Maria, bipartisan is not a question for Republicans. It's a question for Democrats. Will you come to the table? And so on this, selling insurance, health insurance across state lines is always very popular to the public. Many people are shocked to learn when they try to access it that you can't, the way you access car insurance and other services.
Yeah, but I'm a little disappointed by the Republicans on their stance about tax reform. I want to talk about tax reform. There's an op-ed in the Journal today. The GOP's tax the rich temptation. This is what I've been talking about nonstop. The fact that the top 10% of earners pay 70% plus of all the taxes, and yet it feels like the president and the Republicans are getting bullied once again by the talking points. The talking points on the left saying this tax plan is a tax cut for the rich, and all of a sudden they jump in position with their own talking points saying, no, we're going to make sure the rich pay up. And that's exactly what they're doing, talking about a fourth bracket and removing the state and local deduction.
So, Clara, we have three brackets, and more people will be paying 0%, going from 10 to 0%, in part because the personal exemption has been doubled, or if you file as a married couple, it's been doubled for you as well. Up to $24,000 of your first $24,000 income is not taxed. The reason it benefits the middle class is because of the child care tax credit, because the brackets are reduced, and really it's also just the time that you'll save and the money you'll save in complying. We think that the tax code currently favors the rich because of the loopholes and your ability to hire lawyers and accountants and even lobbyists if you need to change the tax code. So we just want to make it fairer for the middle class. Now, the rich, if you're an employer, if you're a job creator, and the Democrats are counting you as the rich, they should really think about that. The president wanted to get that corporate tax rate, Maria, down to 15% was brilliant and necessary. That's how you spur growth. We had 5 million new jobs over 15 years with President Reagan. It just unleashes wealth. It allows American employers to stop being punished from having their plants and their factories and their profits here. Right now, the offshoring model encourages them to bring that overseas. As you know, we're one of 6 countries that taxes your profits again and again just to keep them here. So we want to encourage job creators, job seekers, and job holders. But the left just comes out with these talking points before they even see the bill.
But why can't the president and the Republicans, the big 6, talk that way, the way you are, and push back on this idea that it's a tax cut? Because the truth is that it's a tax cut for the rich. Because the truth is you're talking about the corporate rate. I get that. Coming down to 20%, 15%, that moves the needle on economic growth. But the individual levels, if you remove the state and local income tax deduction, if you remove the property tax deduction, people are up in arms. They're saying in New York, for example, they're paying up to $60,000 in property taxes. This is why Peter King says, I'm not going to vote yes for it. Do you think they're going to include that elimination of the deduction of state and local income?
Well, this president won on fairness. And if you look at his presidency so far, I would say the one core value that threads all of his policies is fairness. He wants to be more fair to the American worker, not just the illegal immigrant, which is a question. In this case, health care is meant, it's not fair that your premiums have doubled and you can't buy insurance across the island. So when it comes to tax reform, the question about the city and state deductions is, why in the world are some states subsidizing the most populous 4 or 6 states? That's a reasonable question to ask people. So, again, making that more fair, retaining those deductions that the middle class says they rely upon most, the charitable contribution deduction, the mortgage interest deduction, also doing away with the marriage penalty tax, doing away with the estate tax known as the death tax. That hurts. Not family farm is the best example, the most common example, but it's also all these legacy businesses, including manufacturers. Maria, I was in Roanoke on behalf of the president on Friday at this wonderful company, Optical Cable Corporation, and they're a great example. The 12 million manufacturing men and women in this country are the backbone of much of our economy. economy, they need a tax break. And so they don't consider themselves to be rich.
Are you expecting him to attach an infrastructure program to the tax plan?
That is not currently in play.
Okay.
But remember, this is a president who can get a lot of things done.
Yeah.
The swamp's not ready for this kind of disruption and progress. They need to get on Trump pace. He's not going to come down to Washington pace. So they need to pick up the pace, meaning he can still get health care done.
Yeah.
He's going to start with executive orders because the legislative process didn't work for now. Tax reform, infrastructure, judges and other nominations. You know, there's a whole logjam in there. Immigration reform.
Yeah.
Don't expect him to slow down.
Kellyanne, great to see you.
Thanks
so much. Kellyanne Conway.